I was leaning against the break room counter, stirring sugar into my tea, when Ethan, the newly appointed COO and nephew of the company's founder, stormed in. His eyes swept over me like I was part of the wallpaper, unremarkable and disposable. "Sarah, my office, now," he barked, not bothering with pleasantries. I'd been with Horizon Enterprises for 12 years, starting as a junior analyst and clawing my way up to head of project operations. I'd led teams through multi-million-dollar deals, revamped failing workflows, and mentored dozens of employees who now filled the cubicles outside. But to Ethan, none of that mattered. He was the golden child handed a title he hadn't earned, wielding authority like a blunt weapon. I followed him to his corner office, my stomach tightening with each step. He didn't sit, just leaned against his desk, arms crossed. "You're done here," he said, his voice cold as steel. "We're moving in a new direction, and you're not part of it. Pack your things. You're out, effective immediately." The words hit like a slap. "What?" I managed, my voice steady despite the chaos in my chest. "You heard me," he said, already turning to his laptop, dismissing me with a flick of his wrist. "You're not cutting it. We need fresh blood." I stood there, waiting for an explanation, a reason, anything. But none came. My mind raced. 12 years of late nights, of saving projects from collapse, of being the one person clients trusted to deliver. And now, this? I swallowed the urge to argue, to demand answers. Instead, I nodded. "Understood, Ethan," I said, my voice calm, deliberate. "Good luck." I walked out, head high, ignoring the curious glances from my team. My hands shook as I packed my desk, but I didn't let it show. The drive home was a blur, memories of long hours and sacrifices flooding my mind. I'd missed my daughter's school plays for deadlines, taken calls during family dinners, rebuilt entire systems from scratch. And for what? To be discarded like an outdated spreadsheet? That night, I couldn't sleep. Something about Ethan's dismissal fell off. Too abrupt, too careless. We were days away from signing a $10 million contract with Apex Solutions, a deal I'd spent 9 months nurturing. I knew every clause, every stakeholder, every risk. The final meeting was set for tomorrow, and Ethan hadn't even asked about it. Had he even read the contract? At 8:45 a.m., my phone buzzed with a number I hadn't seen in months. Margaret, the founder and CEO. Her voice was sharp, urgent. "Sarah, what the hell happened? I just got to the office and your desk is cleared out." I hesitated, then told her. "Ethan fired me yesterday, said I wasn't cutting it." A long silence followed, then a low curse. "He did what?" I could hear her pacing, papers rustling. "Sarah, did he mention the Apex contract?" "No," I said, my curiosity piqued. "Why?" Margaret's voice dropped, tight with anger. "That contract has a clause, one I insisted on after the last merger mess. You're the only authorized representative for Apex. Without you, the deal's dead, legally and practically. They won't sign with anyone else." I froze, the pieces clicking into place. Ethan hadn't read the contract. He'd fired me without a second thought, oblivious to the consequences. A spark of something, control maybe, ignited at my chest. He'd made a mistake, a big one, and it was about to bite him. "I'll handle this," Margaret said, her tone promising a storm. "Stay by your phone." I didn't have to wait long. By 9:30, my phone lit up with missed calls. Ethan, HR, legal, even the receptionist. I let them go to voicemail. Ethan's message was clipped, panicked. "Sarah, hey, it's Ethan. There's been a misunderstanding. We need you back for the Apex meeting. Call me ASAP. It's urgent." Urgent. The word lingered, sharp and satisfying. No apology, just desperation. I sipped my coffee, now cold, and stared out my apartment window. Let him sweat. At 10 o'clock, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was Lisa, a former teammate who'd moved to compliance. Her voice was hushed, excited. "Sarah, you're not going to believe this. Margaret just tore into Ethan in the boardroom in front of everyone. She held up the Apex contract and asked if he'd read it before firing you. He tried to dodge, said something about strategic restructuring, but she wasn't having it. She flipped to the clause about you being the sole negotiator. Ethan went white, Sarah, like ghost white." I let out a slow breath. "What did Margaret say?" "She told him if Apex walks, his role's on the line. Everyone's talking about it. You've got him cornered." I thanked her and hung up, my mind racing. I wasn't angry anymore, not entirely. I was focused. Ethan's mistake wasn't just about me. It was about the company, the team, the trust I'd built with clients. I wasn't going to let. At 10:45, Margaret texted, "Sarah, I'm sorry for what happened. Please come in. We need to talk, not just about Apex, but about fixing this mess. Name your terms." I didn't rush to reply. I wasn't ready to walk back into the lion's den without guarantees. Ethan's actions weren't just a personal slight. They were a betrayal of the company's values. I wanted accountability, not just a seat at the table. By noon, I walked into Horizon's lobby, bypassing the employee entrance. Heads turned, whispers followed. The receptionist nearly dropped her coffee. "Miss Carter, Sarah, you're back." "Meeting with Margaret," I said, my tone neutral but firm. She nodded, ushering me to the executive floor. Margaret was waiting in her office, her expression a mix of relief and exhaustion. "Sarah, I screwed up," she said, closing the door. "I gave Ethan too much rope, thinking he'd step up. Instead, he's jeoparding fires we can't afford." I sat across from her, folding my hands. "He didn't just fire me, Margaret. He didn't even read the Apex contract. That's not a mistake, it's negligence." She nodded, her jaw tight. "I know, and I'm fixing it. I want you back, Sarah, not just for Apex, but to help steer this ship. Name your conditions." "I'll come back," I said, "but I want a revised contract. Full authority over Apex and any future deals I lead. No interference from Ethan. And I want a commitment to transparency. Nobody else gets blindsided like this." "Done," she said without hesitation. "Anything else?" "This culture needs to change," I added. "People are scared to speak up. That's not how you build a company that lasts." She leaned back, studying me. "You're right. Let's do it." By 1 p.m., the Apex team arrived. I greeted their CEO, Ms. Rivera, with a warm smile, slipping into Spanish to discuss the final terms. Her face softened. She valued the personal touch. The meeting was seamless. By 3 o'clock, we'd signed the deal, a $10 million partnership that would redefine Horizon's market position. As the Apex team left, Margaret pulled me aside. "You didn't just save the deal, Sarah. You saved us from a disaster." "You need a leader who reads the fine print," I said pointedly. "Power isn't enough." She didn't argue. The next few days were quiet, but the air in the office had shifted. Smiles returned, conversations flowed. Margaret made it clear Ethan's role was under review, his influence curtailed. But I wasn't naive. I started noticing small things: delayed approvals, missing files, a client claiming I'd sent an incorrect proposal. I checked the logs. The errors traced back to a shared terminal, one Ethan's assistant had access to. He wasn't done. I started documenting everything. timestamps, emails, approvals. I'd learned long ago that evidence outlasts excuses. One evening, I overheard Ethan in a meeting room, his voice low but clear. "She's not stable," he said to someone I couldn't see. "Since she came back, she's been sloppy. We need to rethink her role." My blood ran cold, but I didn't confront him. Instead, I went to Margaret. "He's sabotaging me," I said, handing her a folder of evidence. "Emails altered, files missing, all tied to his assistant's login." Margaret's face hardened. "I'm launching an audit. Stay sharp." The audit was swift and brutal. By the following week, the evidence was undeniable. Ethan had orchestrated a campaign to discredit me, hoping to force me out. Margaret called us into the boardroom. Ethan walked in, all swagger, until he saw me. His confidence cracked. "This is internal," he protested, glaring at Margaret. "Not when you're forging emails," I said evenly. "You didn't just target me. You risked the company's reputation." The auditor, James, laid out the evidence. Login traces, altered documents, all pointing to Ethan. Margaret's voice was ice. "I gave you a chance, Ethan. You didn't just fail. You betrayed everyone here." Ethan's face fell, his bravado gone. "This is a misunderstanding." "No," Margaret cut in. "It's a pattern. You're suspended pending board review." He left without a word, his eyes avoiding mine. Weeks later, Ethan was gone for good, his termination quiet but final. Margaret offered me a promotion, vice president of operations, with a seat at the table. I accepted, but not for the title. I wanted to rebuild what Ethan had tried to tear down. As I settled into my new office, I looked out at the city skyline. I'd spent years proving my worth, staying silent to keep the peace. But silence hadn't protected me. It had almost cost me everything. The real victory wasn't the promotion or Ethan's exit. It was knowing I'd stood my ground, not as a victim, but as someone who knew her value and refused to let it be erased.